Hi, my name is Goldman. I'm an attorney with Goldman and Associates. We are providing additional video information. Please subscribe to our channel. Today we're going to talk a little bit about whether or not a person needs a restraining order during the divorce and how do they know. Well, a restraining order could be two things. It could be a restraining order to protect your person. It could be a restraining order to protect your assets. If there is a threat to your well-being, a threat where somebody will likely carry it out. It's not just talk. It's not just screaming. It's where you really feel that your safety is in jeopardy. That's exactly the time when you should contact the police, contact the authorities, seek out a restraining order or a personal protection order to protect your well-being. I think married couples usually know the difference between screaming and just carrying on versus actual palpable threats. When you've reached the point where you're really wondering whether or not your safety is at risk, that's the time you got to get a restraining order and you got to get assistance in that regard. Now, what about another type of restraining order that relates to assets? In most cases, where the parties have assets, certainly if there's an account and it's in your name only, you probably don't need a restraining order because you're the only one that controls it. If, however, you're worried that your spouse is the kind that will invade joint assets and go blow the money at the casino just so that you won't get it in the divorce, then you have to tell your lawyer about that. Your lawyer has to seek a freeze on the assets, a restraining order that basically says other than normal spending for everyday life, nothing can be touched. Now, a lot of times I will give this advice to clients and the reaction will be, oh, my wife would never do that, or no, my husband's not that kind of guy, he wouldn't do this, he wouldn't do that. And nobody knows your spouse better than you. We offer expertise in the law, but you're the country's leading expert in that second person, be it a husband or a wife, and you know what they will or will not do. Perhaps you know it better than us. However, you got to understand one thing in making that analysis. While you may think that your wife is not the kind of person who would invade the assets, your husband is not the kind of person who would take the money away and hide it somewhere or spend it, you may think that. But remember one thing. Do you truly know that person? You may know that person who you married 19 years ago. But probably the person that you're divorcing today is not that same person in a lot of ways. So you have to evaluate, how well do I really know this person? I mean, I thought I knew him, but at the same time I realized he's a drunk, he's an alcoholic, he's a womanizer, he's doing all these things that I never thought he was capable of. So what makes you think that that person is the same person of whom you would say, oh, he would never spend that? It could very well be that he has evolved into that person. It could very well be that she has turned into the type that would take 100% of the assets and go blow them somewhere just so you don't get your piece. Remember the story of the $50 Porsche. That's where the court ordered the wife to sell the Porsche and split the assets, but the mistake was made where nobody indicated a selling price and she went and sold it to someone for $50 just so she could give him $25. She only got $25 also, but he loved the Porsche and she didn't. So remember that story when you're trying to figure out, well, would my husband do this? Would my wife do that? Maybe they will. Maybe they wouldn't. It's always best to err on the side of caution and get that mutual restraining order put in place so that the assets are appropriately preserved for distribution in the divorce. If you have any questions about that, reach out, and of course we'll be glad to help you out.